Testing. Do we have audio? All right. That didn't work.
Meanwhile, Kuwait and Qatar. Meanwhile, Kuwait and Qatar. Meanwhile, Kuwait and Qatar.
But how do I?
Meanwhile, Kuwait and Qatar.
But how do I?
Meanwhile, Kuwait and Qatar.
Warning what? God damn it. But how do I?
Meanwhile, Kuwait and Qatar.
Warning what? God damn it. But how do I?
Meanwhile, Kuwait and Qatar.
Warning what? God damn it. But how do I?
Meanwhile, Kuwait and Qatar.
Warning what? God damn it. Stream is 51
Meanwhile,
lower
Kuwait
than the
and
recommendation.
Qatar.
Warning what? Recommended. We recommend that you stream is 8
Meanwhile,
6
Kuwait
point
and Qatar.
Warning what? Recommended. We recommend that you stream is 8 6 point. Can I do it while I'm on? Recommended. We recommend that you stream is 8 6 point. Can I do it while I'm on? Recommended. We recommend that you stream is 8 6 point. Can I do it while I'm on? Recommended. We recommend that you stream is 8 6 point. Can I do it while I'm on? Recommended. We recommend that you stream is 8 6 point. Can I do it while I'm on? Recommended. We recommend that you stream is 8 6 point. I think we can continue, right? I just talk. I'm a little too high. I think we can continue, right? I just talk. I'm a little too high. I think we can continue, right? I just talk. I'm a little too high. I think we can continue, right? Just talk. I'm a little too high. I think we can continue, right? Just talk. I'm a little too high. I think we can continue, right? Just talk. I'm a little too high. I think we can continue, right? No. Just talk. I'm a little too high. I think we can continue, right? No. Just talk. I'm a little too high. I think we can continue, right? No. Just talk. I'm a little too high. I think we can continue, right? No. Just talk. I think we can continue, right? No. Just talk. I think we can continue, right? No. Just talk. Why is the browser picking that up? Why is the browser picking that up? Why is the browser picking that up? Where is the audio coming from? I ain't gonna lie. Why is the browser picking that up? Where is the audio coming from? I ain't gonna lie. Why is the browser picking that up? Oh, from here. Where's the audio coming from? I ain't gonna lie. Why is the browser picking that up? Stream status good, so I guess we can continue. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tumblelicious stream. Tumbo Jack stream. What is this? Oh, that's a little. No, I kind of wanted it.
Reported more. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israel's military says it's killed the Iranian security chief, Ali Larijani, as the U.S. and Israel continue massive airstrikes across Iran. Larijani was among the most powerful figures in the Islamic Republic and helped direct nuclear negotiations with the U.S. and other Western powers. His reported assassination
comes... voice is like me. We be cracking up and just like, ooh.
Just days after he joined senior Iranian officials in a march through central Tehran in a public act of defiance against the U.S.-Israeli war. Israel also announced it had assassinated the Basij force commander, Ghulam Reza Soleimani, in a separate airstrike. In the city of Iraq, officials say a U.S.-Israeli coalition bombing killed a 3-day-old infant and his 2-year-old sister, along with their mother and grandmother. In Tehran, Iranian Red Crescent workers searched for survivors through the rubble of damaged homes after an airstrike on Monday.
This alley is totally residential. Those dear residents who got stuck here are being rescued by the aid workers. The search continues.
Amnesty International reports an investigation found the U.S. was responsible for the attack on the Iranian girls' school in southern Iran that killed about 170 people, most of them schoolgirls, on the first day of the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. Iran's foreign minister says U.S.-Israeli strikes have killed over 200 children. Meanwhile, the Pentagon's announced the deployment of thousands of additional U.S. Marines and warships to the Middle East. U.S. Central Command reports at least 200 U.S. troops have been injured since the U.S. and Israel launched attacks against Iran just over 2 weeks ago. 13 U.S. service members have been killed. In Israel, at least 7 people were wounded on Monday when a rocket launched from Lebanon struck residential buildings in the northern town of Nahariya. Elsewhere, debris from an Iranian missile fell onto the rooftop of the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate in Jerusalem, one of the holiest sites in Christianity, where tradition holds that Jesus was crucified. An Iranian missile also damaged the U.S. consulate residence building in Jerusalem, though no injuries were reported. Meanwhile, Iran continues to fire on Middle East countries that host U.S. military bases. Saudi Arabia's defense ministry said it intercepted nearly 100 Iranian drones in 24 hours, the largest single-day wave of attacks yet by Iran. In the United Arab Emirates, an Iranian drone triggered a huge fire at a key oil trading hub, coming just days after a similar attack triggered another fire at the site. In Iraq, an Iranian drone damaged the top floor of the Al Rashid Hotel in Baghdad's heavily fortified green zone Monday amidst reports that Iraqi air defenses shot down an Iranian missile targeting the U.S. embassy there. Meanwhile, Kuwait and Qatar reported more Iranian drone and missile attacks. According to Goldman Sachs, if the war lasts until the end of April, the gross domestic products of Gulf states could plummet by up to 14% this year. In Lebanon, Israeli strikes have driven more than 1 million people from their homes and killed more than 880 people. Israeli troops launched ground operations in southern Lebanon Monday. Israel's defense minister...
Well, all this shit is happening. Ishmael is out here fucking shit up for everybody. Damn, what's my CPU usage at 20%? That's crazy, bro. OBS? Why you tripping, bro? She used to be like 1%. Well, we'll see.
Israel Katz said southern Lebanese residents will not return to their homes until the safety of Israelis near the border is guaranteed. This is a displaced mother who fled to Beirut due to Israeli attacks.
Of course, I was displaced, my house was damaged, the situation is difficult, of course. I mean, I can't describe to you the feeling that we're experiencing, but it's hard, very hard. It's hard to leave your home, hard to leave your land.
European countries are rejecting President Trump's call to send warships to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, despite Trump's threat of, quote, a very bad future, unquote, for NATO if it doesn't help the U.S. This is...
That is crazy. I've been seeing this online everywhere. Like, this guy put tariffs on the whole freaking world, right? He's like, fuck you. I don't need your shit. Suck me off. And then he's out here asking for help. That's embarrassing. Like, imagine being the Trump administration and just, oh shit. Yeah, but that's embarrassing. You know what I mean? He asked for help from a lot of European countries that he fucked over, really. And he's asking, can you guys come help me tell these guys to stop being mean to me? Oh boy.
Alice, the European Union's foreign policy chief.
There was no appetite from the member states to do that. As I said, this is nobody wants to go actively in this war, and of course everybody is concerned what will be the outcome.
Australia and Japan also said they had no plans to send warships to help reopen the strait. South Korea said it's an issue that needs, quote, very careful deliberation, but did not commit to helping the U.S. The New York Times reports President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is trying to raise $5 billion in additional funding for his private equity firm from Gulf
that guy
Arab
doesn't
states.
look like a supervillain, bro. He looks like the supervillain from the movies, like the evil billionaire that has a secret dungeon of like collections of serial killers or collections of items from serial killers.
Even as he serves as a top U.S. government negotiator in the Middle East. As part of his fundraising effort, Kushner's representatives have already met with Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, which is headed by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and has already funded the private equity firm of Jared Kushner to the tune of $2 billion. In Texas, LaCordia walked free from an ICE jail Monday after more than a year in custody. She was arrested during the 2024 Gaza solidarity protests at Columbia University. Those charges were dropped, but Cordia was later detained at a routine immigration check-in in New Jersey. This week, an immigration judge ordered her released on a $100,000 bond. It was the third time a judge ruled in her favor, despite the government blocking her release twice. While in custody, LaCordia was hospitalized following a seizure, and her legal team said her legs were chained to her bed and she was denied access to her lawyer or family. Cordia was the last person.
I have a question. I wonder how much fuckery is happening in those concentration camps, in those, whatever they're calling them. Like, is it happening now? Like, back in the day, you didn't know. People didn't know that the Holocaust was happening when it was happening. They found out about the fuckery after, right? I wonder if that's happening now. I hope not.
And still held in detention from the Trump administration's crackdown on pro-Palestinian campus activists. A federal judge in Boston's blocked Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s overhaul of U.S. vaccine policy, including blocking a January directive slashing the number of recommended childhood vaccinations from 18 to 11. Under RFK Jr., the CDC had dropped recommendations that all babies should be protected against hepatitis A, hepatitis B, RSV, dengue, and 2 types of bacterial meningitis. U.S. District Judge Brian Murphy wrote in his ruling, quote, "There is a method to how these decisions historically have been made, a method scientific in nature and codified into law through procedural requirements. Unfortunately, the government's disregarded those methods and thereby undermined the integrity of its actions," unquote. Judge Murphy also found Kennedy violated federal law when he fired all 17 members of the Centers for Disease Control's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices and replaced them with hand-picked appointees who questioned established medical research on vaccines. In Cuba, the national electricity grid collapsed Monday, leaving millions without power as Cuba reels from an energy blockade imposed by President Trump. It was the third major blackout in Cuba over the past 4 months and the largest. This comes as the New York Times reports that the Trump administration's pushing for Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel to step down. President Trump spoke to reporters Monday about his plans for Cuba.
I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba.
I do believe I'll have the honor of taking Cuba. What does that sound like? Cuba is taken. Like, imagine somebody said that to your girlfriend. I believe I'll have the honor of taking your girlfriend, Kim. Bro, she's taken. What the fuck do you mean?
Good honor, it's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want another truth?
Later in the broadcast, we'll go to Havana for the latest. In Afghanistan, the Taliban
He's
government says
down, so he's not too
408
confident
people were
about that.
killed and 250 injured Monday evening after Pakistan, they said, targeted a drug treatment center in Kabul with an airstrike. Pakistan denies the bombing of any health facilities, but reporters who visited the wreckage of the Omar Addiction Treatment Hospital found the 2,000-bed facility on fire and in ruins with dozens of bodies being carried out on stretchers. The UN reports scores of civilians have been killed since Pakistan's defense minister last month declared open war on Afghanistan. The Trump administration's approved BP's proposed $5 billion oil drilling project in ultra-deep waters off the coast of Louisiana and the Gulf of Mexico. BP, formerly known as British Petroleum, is the same company responsible for the 2010 Deepwater Horizon disaster, the worst oil spill in U.S. history. Environmentalists warn the new project threatens Gulf communities, sensitive deep-sea ecosystems, and imperils marine life. And voters in Illinois head to the polls today for primary deep-sea ecosystems and imperils marine life.
Look how the water's moving.
Threatens Gulf communities, sensitive deep-sea ecosystems, and imperils marine life.
That's
And
crazy.
voters in Illinois head to the polls today for primary elections that could determine the balance of power in the next Congress. Ahead of the election, AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, poured nearly $22 million into Illinois' congressional races. Among AIPAC's targets is Kat Abuzela, a progressive running for Illinois' 9th district, covering parts of Chicago and its northern suburbs. She's condemned the war in Gaza as a genocide and has made cutting U.S. military aid to Israel a top campaign priority. She says AIPAC poured $7 million through 2 shell PACs to defeat her, even as a dark money group was caught paying social media influencers $1,500 each for scripted attack posts. Meanwhile, several candidates are competing for the Senate seat of retiring Democratic Senator Dick Durbin, with a flood of super PAC spending also influencing that race. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York with Democracy Now!'s Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, no, I didn't like it. A bit. Is this ground invasion of Iran would be suicide mission? I agree. Should we do Philip DeFranco? Let's just try it all. First day.
The first thing we've got to talk about is we are now more than 2 weeks into the U.S. and Israel's war in Iran. The death toll is rising, the fallout is growing, and Donald Trump, he is asking for help from allies that he has continuously insulted, bullied, and threatened. And as he continues to make threats, at least some are now
Nah, that guy talks real fast, so we'll just...
refusing to get roped in, and the president, he might be considering another option: U.S. troops on the ground. And so let's start there, because it's believed that any potential ground operation, it's likely to target a place called Karg Island. And the military actually just attacked it for the first time during this war on Friday, with Trump announcing the operation on social media and claiming the United States Central Command executed one of the most powerful bombing raids in the history of the Middle East, and added, for reasons of decency, I have chosen not to wipe out the oil infrastructure on the island. However, should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I will immediately reconsider this decision. And with that, the next day, day, CENTCOM confirmed what was described as a large-scale precision strike, saying U.S. forces successfully struck more than 90 Iranian military targets while preserving the oil infrastructure. And that last part's key because Karg Island, which is located roughly 15 miles off the coast of Iran, it is home to facilities that export 90% of the country's oil. So taking out that infrastructure would be a massive blow to the regime there. But it would also very likely throw the markets into even more chaos. It could cripple whatever hypothetical new government would take power, if that's a thing that actually happens. And it would make it harder for the U.S. to benefit from Iran's oil in a Venezuela-style scenario that Trump has reportedly pushed for. But with all that, you still had Trump telling NBC on Saturday that the strikes there had totally demolished most of the island and that the U.S. may hit it a few more times just for fun. But you then also had a senior White House official telling Axios, no one should read into anything more than what the president announced and that the president has made no decisions on Karg Island. That official also said that could change if the effort to clear the strait drags on, saying the president is not going to wait around and let the Iranians dictate the pace of the conflict. And so with that, we're now seeing reports that Trump is seriously considering trying to seize Karg Island. And he's reportedly drawn to this idea because it would constitute a, quote, economic knockout of the regime, essentially defunding the Iranian government without all the downsides of destroying the oil infrastructure there. But of course, there are still downsides. One, the move would require U.S. boots on the ground there. Two, we could still push Iran to launch even more aggressive strikes against oil facilities and pipelines across the region, especially in Saudi Arabia. But despite the risks, the U.S. is now deploying 25,000 more Marines to the Middle East, adding to the 50,000 already there. And while officials decline to say what their mission actually is, they're reportedly equipped to join a potential operation to seize the island. And notably, that's not the only boots on the ground scenario being considered. The U.S. and Israel have also reportedly discussed sending special forces into Iran to secure its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. And two American officials told NBC News last week that Trump has privately expressed a serious interest in deploying troops inside Iran, either for an operation like that or one aimed at enabling the U.S. to benefit from Iran's oil production like what came out of the operation in Venezuela. Trump also claimed in that NBC interview this weekend that Iran is ready to negotiate a ceasefire, but he's not ready to make a deal. But Iran's foreign minister then told CBS News that his country was ready to defend ourselves as long as it takes and denied Trump's claim that Iran wanted to make a deal, saying, we never asked for a ceasefire and we have never asked even for negotiation. And with that,
Bro, this guy is a fucking badass. He's always talking shit. He's such a gangster with it. He's like, well, if you strike our prisons, you kill the prisoners. He's the GOAT.
Fight Trump's threats? He insisted that Iran would continue to lock down the Strait of Hormuz as long as necessary, saying the strait is open but closed to our enemies, to those who carried out this.
He's kind of like me. I mean, he has a better hairline, but it's thin, you know? I have a busted hairline and I'm thin.
Cowardly aggression against us and to their allies. And with that, you've now had several non-Iranian oil tankers, including from India, Pakistan, and Turkey, getting permission to go through the strait, which is actually very notable because until now, Iran had been fully blocking Gulf countries from exporting their oil while only allowing tankers picking up Iranian oil to pass freely, or keeping its own supply flowing to American adversaries, including China, which is the biggest buyer of Iranian oil. And you have many experts saying that as long as the blockade holds, Trump may not be able to end the war even if he wanted to. Iran starting to pick and choose who they're letting through, it might actually give them more leverage, especially if traditional U.S. allies decide that negotiating with Iran directly is the better move, right? Rather than having to rely on Trump. And actually on that note, you had Trump claiming in a social media post over the weekend that the U.S. and several other countries will send warships to the Gulf to reopen commercial shipping. And with that, he also called on China, France, Japan, South Korea, the UK, and others to send ships so that the Hormuz Strait will no longer be a threat by a nation that has been totally decapitated. And adding, in the meantime, the United States will be bombing the hell out of the shoreline and continually shooting Iranian boats and ships out of the water. One way or the other, we will soon get the Hormuz Strait open, safe, and free. With the men following up
He's fucking crazy. um, oh. Can I not have this? Change. Never mind.
few hours later saying, the countries of the world that receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage, and we will help a lot. The U.S. will also coordinate with those countries so that everything goes quickly, smoothly, and well. This should have always been a team effort, and now it will be. It will bring the world together toward harmony, security, and everlasting peace. But then you had Trump demanding that NATO countries help the U.S. secure the strait, while telling the Financial Times it will be very bad for the future of NATO if they refuse. Words that were seen by many as a threat. And with that, while he claimed that he was getting a good response, so far, at least as of me recording this, no country has publicly committed. And in fact, some have outright rejected the idea. Right, with Germany's defense minister, for example, saying, this is not our war. We did not start it. What does Donald Trump expect from, say, a handful or two of European frigates in the Strait of Hormuz? He needs them to achieve what the mighty U.S. Navy cannot manage on its own there? Is that it? That's the question I'm asking myself. You also had a spokesperson for the government confirming that there would be no German involvement and pointing out that Trump started this war without them, saying, I would also like to remind you that the U.S. and Israel did not consult us before the war, and that Washington explicitly stated at the start of the war that European assistance was neither necessary nor desired. And with all that said, the UK is apparently considering sending ships and mine-hunting drones to help out. We also had Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying that he urged a swift resolution to the conflict and insisted that his country would not be drawn into wider war. And while France has previously said that it would be willing to escort once the security situation stabilizes, that just doesn't seem to be the case yet. And you've actually had the country, along with Italy, asking to talk with Iran about allowing their ships to pass through the strait, which shows that, some countries are looking for ways to protect their shipping and their energy without Trump. But also, of course, in the meantime,
I think other countries need to separate themselves from at least Trump's administration, because they are going down with the ship if they don't find other ways. This guy's fucking it up for everybody just to get himself and his homies rich. He's coming in here and fucking everything up. And then when he leaves, nothing's going to happen. He's going to have $10 billion for that stupid board of peace that he's doing. And peep this, he's doing that. What is it? Something of Americas with Christine Ohm. I guarantee you he's going to try and give himself a couple $1 billion there too. He's going to do the same thing as far as just be like, oh, the United States is going to donate another $10 billion to that. And then when he's gone, when he leaves, that money, I guarantee you it's going to be in like his personal bank accounts or some shit like that, where the government can't touch it. Something weird is going to happen. Mark my words.
The war just continues. Overall, more than 2,100 people have reportedly been killed so far, including 1,300 Iranian civilians, 850 people in Lebanon, 13 American service members, and at least 12 people in Israel. And today, U.S. and Israeli forces have continued to bombard Iran, while Iranian counterattacks across the region have kept up as well. And notably, with all this, you had an Israeli spokesperson telling reporters there are detailed operational plans for the war with Iran for the next 3 weeks, along with additional plans extending further. Although what the timeline is actually going to be, that still remains unknown right now. Or with Trump saying that the war will end when he feels it in his bones, as experts also warn that he's risking getting trapped in a cycle of escalation that might not end any
Doesn't he have a bone disease?
time soon. And then also, regardless of what happens with Iran, Israel's war in Lebanon, that might continue independently. Right, today, officials said they were yet again expanding their offensive against Hezbollah there, saying that the military was moving into new areas without giving new details. Although there are also fears that it's really just laying the groundwork for occupying large parts of the country. And then also, as we've talked about before, the near perpetual violence in Palestinian territories, that's not let up during all of this either. In fact, just over the past few days, Israeli forces killed at least 12 Palestinians between the West Bank and Gaza. First, you had troops shooting and killing 4 members of the same family, including 2 young children in the West Bank, with Israeli authorities claiming the vehicle had accelerated toward the troops, who feared for their safety and opened fire. And then in Gaza, an airstrike killed 8 police officers affiliated with the Hamas-controlled government, according to the Gazan Interior Ministry. And then, while the growing...
I hope one day the Palestinians just reproduce to like 1 billion people. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be so awesome that in like, I don't know, how long does it take to multiply from 1 million people left? Because there's not that many left. They keep fucking killing them. I hope one day they can multiply to like 1 billion people, and the Palestinians take over the Middle East. Not in a bad way, obviously. We want good people around, but man. So sad, bro.
Fallout with Trump's war in Iran, it continues to take lives. The war inside of his own party is growing as well. And when I say that it's gotten messier, it even involves Trump weighing in on micro-penis allegations. With the two main players there being Megyn Kelly and Mark Levin, right? You know, Megyn Kelly is a former Fox News host or an independent conservative commentator who really wanted to share that she cares about the nuance in the definition of pedophile. And then Mark Levin, he's a conservative radio host and Fox News host.
Where that bitch
Trump actually
came from.
appointed him to Homeland Security Advisory Council last year. But Mark and Megyn, they have very different ideas about this war. Right? Megyn's been very critical of it, saying that we are fighting this war for Israel, that U.S. troops are dying for foreign interests. Right? Mark, on the first day of the war, he praised Trump and our, quote, wonderful Israeli allies for fighting a righteous and monumentally important battle for freedom, security, and humanity. And while notably, this is not the first issue they've clashed on, things really took a turn over the weekend when Mark took issue with some of the content that Megyn was reposting, right? Including one tweet claiming that the man who attacked a Michigan synagogue had lost family members in a recent Israeli attack in Lebanon. Just for context's sake, the New York Times has since backed that up, saying that the man's brother was a Hezbollah commander killed in an airstrike, and 3 other relatives were reportedly killed in the attack as well. But Mark, he was not happy about Megyn's choice to retweet that. And so he shared a post condemning Megyn, claiming that she was using her platform to imply that the Michigan attack was excusable or justified, rather than calling her evil, diabolical, and gone, to which Megyn shot back, "I'm sorry you have a micro penis, Mark, but don't drag the rest of us into your drama." With things just kind of devolving from there, with Mark calling Megyn an emotionally unhinged, lewd, and petulant wreck who has completely revealed and destroyed herself, saying she's everything people says she is, but much worse. And so Megyn then just doubled down on the micro penis stuff, dubbing him micro penis Mark and claiming he tweets about me obsessively in the crudest, nastiest terms possible. Literally more than some stalkers I've had arrested. He doesn't like it when women like me fight back because of his micro penis. With her then going on to claim that Mark has shitposted about her over 100 times since November, but she's only responded 6 times at first, asking him to tone it down before he gets someone killed. And then you also had Mark calling her a harlot who wakes up and has micro penises on her mind. And so you then also saw a ton of people responding to what was happening. Right? Everyone weighing in, but easily the biggest name was Donald Trump himself. With Trump coming to the defense of Mark Levin, calling him a truly great American patriot who is somewhat under siege by other people with far less intellect, capability, and love for our country. And the president then adding, he is a true conservative and intellect far smarter than those who criticize him. When you hear others unfairly attack Mark, remember that they are jealous and angry human beings whose sway is much less than the public understands, and will, now that they know where I stand, rapidly diminish. Those people that speak ill of Mark will quickly fall by the wayside, as do the people whose ideas, policies, and footings are not sound. They are not MAGA. I am, and MAGA includes not allowing Iran, a sick, demented, and violent terrorist regime, to have a nuclear weapon to blow up the United States of America. And so Mark then thanked Trump for the post, saying that he was humbled and honored by the message. But then you had Megyn seemingly not believing that it was an authentic message, writing that micro penis Mark is such a small man, he had to go beg the president for a pat on the head in the middle of a war to make himself feel better about, well, you know, just like all feckless, weakling bullies, Micro can dish it out, but he can't take it. He ran crying to daddy. And while Mark has denied asking Trump to make that post, regardless, that post itself has generated then a lot of reactions, because it showed Trump weighing in on the MAGA civil war and acknowledging the power that he has in it. Yes, it seems like it's about Mark and Megyn, but it's really more than that. He's trying to send a message to anyone that dares oppose anything that he does. And notably, it's not like it's the only time Trump has done this recently. Or just over a week ago, he slammed Tucker Carlson, who's been a focal point of the MAGA civil war and a critic of the war in Iran, with Trump telling an ABC News reporter that Tucker has lost his way. He's not MAGA. MAGA is saving our country. MAGA is making our country great again. MAGA is America first, and Tucker is none of those things. And Tucker is really not smart enough to understand that. And now you've got Tucker Carlson making headlines because he's claiming that his stance on the war has proven so controversial that the CIA has been reading his texts to frame him for a crime.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power.
Now there, he didn't provide any evidence to prove that there is an investigation or pending charges, but he did deny that he is an agent of a foreign power, and he suggested that any alleged investigation into him would be politically motivated.
Countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. There's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland.
While there were then a lot of different reactions to that, there was also a lot of support for him, including from Candace Owens, saying that if they come for Tucker, we ride at dawn. Really nothing else to say here. But for now, that is where we are, and this is going to continue to be an area that we should watch, right, to see how Trump's words affect the MAGA infighting here. Right, these aren't politicians, so him condemning a personality, does that actually affect their livelihood or their audience? Or, you know, are the people that are watching those personalities that are willing to call the president out different from those that would, you know, support Levin and Trump kind of unconditionally? And then kind of in respect to that, is he losing more and more of his base, even if it's kind of like slow and incremental? If you've had book a doctor on your mental to-do list so long it's basically paying rent, this is your sign. Dental cleaning, annual Message is sponsored by ZocDoc. But then, getting back into the news, let's talk about Trump and his lackeys
feel having
just
so
going
much fun.
censorship crazy. Because over the weekend, FCC Chair Brendan Carr threatened to revoke the licenses from broadcasters that the
that
agency
one
deems as
is
fake news or those
crazy.
operating with a liberal bias. Saying in a post on Twitter, broadcasters that are running hoaxes and news distortions, also known as the fake news, have a chance now to correct course before their license renewals come up. The law is clear. Broadcasters must operate in the public interest, and they will lose their licenses if they do not. And he was specifically responding to a post on Truth Social by Trump complaining about the coverage of the war in Iran. He even called for charges of treason over it, as well as Pete Hegseth's open criticism of CNN and their coverage, or with Hegseth calling CNN fundamentally unserious and adding, the sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better. Just full mask off. We're trying to take over the news and what truth is for Trump. And specifically there, he's talking about the attempted takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery, which includes CNN, right? A takeover by Paramount, which Trump's billionaire ally David Ellison owns. And all of this, it's been telegraphed. It's been a long time coming. The claim of bias in the media has been a major Trump talking point for years and years. Trump even popularized the term fake news. But this time around, one of the biggest concerns is it's gone from rhetoric to actions. And in fact, Trump's Truth Social post that Carr was responding to was part of a wider posting spree about the media and the impact his administration has had on it since coming back to office. At one point, Trump shared an infographic titled "President Trump is Reshaping the Media," which highlights the defunding of PBS and NPR, the doing away.
Okay. So, peep this. Everyone knows what this means, right? Gone. Wait, who the fuck are these people? Only know this. So you can't trust any of these? First POTUS to join NFL broadcasts? Who's there? CBS. Free speech on X. Oh, brother.
Titled "President Trump is Reshaping the Media," which highlights the defunding of PBS and NPR, the doing away with fact-checking on Meta platforms, and the mass layoffs over at the Washington Post. Now, with all this, with the FCC and Carr, you have some saying that they don't think that it's going to go past just threats, noting that the FCC hasn't denied a license renewal in decades, and you have CNN saying that any government action against someone holding a license would likely result in a lengthy First Amendment-centered legal battle. A public interest lawyer even arguing Chairman Carr's threats are hollow, saying he poses no genuine danger to any broadcasters' licenses based on his unhappiness with their content. And that was also echoed by the only Democrat commissioner on the FCC, Anna Gomez, who said, the FCC could issue threats all day long, but it is powerless to carry them out. Such threats violate the First Amendment and will go nowhere. Broadcasters should continue covering the news fiercely and independently without fear of government pressure. But that's also not to say that the threat should just be shrugged off. There are still places that the FCC holds a lot of sway, especially when it comes to acquiring or transferring a license, which is why you're seeing companies uniquely vulnerable to government pressure while trying to complete a merger. Though media advocacy groups have also argued that the threat itself does hold a lot of power, saying Carr's goal is more about pressuring news outlets into submission and self-censorship. In Congress further and further away. But then also with all of this, we've got to talk about how 1 in 8 members of Congress are not going to run for their seat again. They're just leaving it. That is the second highest number in the last century. And 60% of them are Republicans, which is a record for their party. You know, when the people in power, they are running for the exits at a record pace. In a way that we haven't seen for a generation, it tells you, yes, the state of things right now, but also it lets you know what they think is going to happen in November. But according to NPR's tracker, 13 senators and 56 House members are either retiring or running for a different office.
Are they
3 of
old?
those senators running for governor, but they'll only resign if they win, or their seats aren't up this year, so if they lose, they can stay put. But if all 3 leave, 2026 would tie 1996 for the most Senate retirements ever recorded. And the combined total across both chambers, it's 69. That's just 3 short of the all-time record of 72 that was set in 1992. And again, the Republican side of this, it really stands out. Though to a certain degree, it does follow a trend, where the president's party tends to see more retirements ahead of the midterms because their party loses more often during the midterms. In 2018, during Trump's first term, 34 House Republicans chose not to run, which is nearly double the 18 Democrats who leapt ahead of the blue wave that flipped the House. And then under Biden in 2022, it was almost the mirror image. 31 Democrats retired compared to 18 Republicans before the GOP takeover. And you know, a lot of these Republicans, they're looking at the same polling that you are, and they're making calculations about November, which then brings us to the reasoning, which is kind of more of a mixed bag. Some aren't just leaving politics, right? They're running for other office. 15 are running for governor. 16 are trying to move from the House to the Senate. And 1 rep's running for Texas Attorney General. But a majority, 37 of the 69 departees, they're just leaving politics entirely. Now, age, that's a big part of it. Nearly half the members in their 80s are heading out, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and former Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Though that also means that half of
they shouldn't have been there that long. That is so crazy to me, man.
The 80-plus crowd, they're staying, they're loving politics. And that includes 3 who will be in their 90s by the end of the year. You then also have others who aren't quite that old saying, it's time to pass
Why
the
do
torch.
they stay that long? The money? I mean, what the fuck are you gonna do when you're 80 years old with $10 million? Like, I think it's just the love of the game, bruh.
Some citing health or family, others putting it more bluntly.
Capitalism does crazy things to human brains.
Job just sucks. And you have all of this is you have experts saying this is part of a deeper trend. Increasing partisan gridlock, polarization, safety threats, and an environment that's become genuinely toxic for anyone trying to govern rather than perform. And for Republicans specifically, obviously, Trump is a huge part of the equation, but also in the opposite direction of last time. In 2024, he was a big part of the resurgence, right? This big energy. A lot of Republicans, they rode those coattails to victory. But now with Trump's approval cratering, right? The gravitational pull is going in the opposite direction. But I do also want to stress it's not just because Trump is unpopular. It's also that distancing yourself from Trump, it's almost pretty much just as dangerous. A good chunk of these departing Republican lawmakers, they have publicly broken with the president. And so that includes moderates who refuse to fall in line and former MAGA loyalists like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And so you have many feeling like, okay, I'm just stuck. You can stay close to Trump, but then you lose the independents. Or maybe you break from him and then you lose the base. And so a lot of Republicans are doing the calculus and they're like, okay, I'm just out, I'm done. And then also there's the whole redistricting mess, right? Trump pushed several red states into unprecedented mid-decade map redraws to gain more Republican seats. Then also blue states countered, and now you have some members sitting in districts that they barely recognize or don't think they can win. And so with all of this, even though, there is a lot of distance from now until November, a lot of this is looking really good for the Democrats. Right? Incumbents, whether Republican or Democrat, there is usually an inherent advantage there. Name recognition, institutional fundraising, established networks. And so open seats, they're easier to flip. And so then there's also this compounding effect. As one political scientist explained it, it creates a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. The exits themselves also make the losses more likely. And to quickly add a personal note to this, I think part of this is kind of why my wife, Lindsay DeFranco, a phenom, amazing, very excited for her. She was presented with this opportunity and the nudge to go for a House seat in Georgia. It's a state House seat in a relatively red area, but you don't do these things just because it's easy. You hope people jump into the space because they want to be a part of really positive change, be a part of the change you want to see in the world, especially when a lot of the people that are in those positions or running for those positions seem more inclined to care about, culture war BS rather than, electricity being affordable, you having health care, like you getting paid properly,
That's the
schools
Republican
being safe
game.
and funded, like the things that actually...
That's the Republican game. You ask them, hey, can you make groceries cheaper? Can you watch out for my electricity bill? Can you make gas cheaper? Can you make rent cheaper? And they're like, what? What about those trans kids in playing sport? That one fucking kid playing, he's in the women's volleyball. Or, fucking, what's another one? I'm blanking. But they'll redirect your anger, your right to call for just a better material conditions, and they'll throw something in your face like your life sucks because immigrants are buying houses. It's like, dude, are we really that dumb? Are we really that stupid that we can't look shit up ourselves? We can't, just because since when did we start trusting politicians? You know what I mean? Especially if they have a record of not helping you out. I don't understand how Republicans keep voting Republican. Are they really that dumb? I just don't know, man.
Matter. And so I'll end on actually 2 things here. One, for the personal bit, if you want to find out more about Lindsay running or donate to her campaign, you can go to lindsayforga.com. I love that the initials for that is LFG, because that is 100% the energy we got to have going into November. And so yeah, Lindsay is trying to flip an open seat. If you're in Georgia's District 47, check your district. Definitely wherever you are, check your local elections as well. But especially in Georgia, there's a record number of Democrats running in Georgia this year. And then 2, for the rest of the races in this midterm, we'll see what happens, right? Because again, there's a lot of distance from now till November. Do more people drop out? Does the polling change? In which direction? There's a lot of ways this could go. Right, but the next step from that,
Yeah,
if
that's
you're
gonna be
flying
awesome.
anytime soon, it's very likely going to get worse. Right? The partial government shutdowns past the 1-month mark. Over 300 TSA agents have quit, and the ones still showing up, they're not getting paid. So lines are already getting longer at airports across the country. There's no deal in sight, and the people that are working at TSA, they're draining their retirement accounts if they even have them to make rent. Right? If you've hopped on pretty much any social media, you've seen people just waiting in these crazy, crazy long lines. And well, yes, you're seeing it in places like Austin, Texas. That's a little bit different because South by Southwest is happening. You're also seeing it across the country because you're seeing TSA employees call out sick. And that's in addition to DHS.
This is funny, bro.
Is Big Yahoo
This
really
guy's
dead? When is
kind
the
of annoying.
celebration? Big Yahoo.
Big
Doesn't
Yahoo.
appear on official panels. Son hasn't tweeted in almost a week. Continuously posts videos that are immediately debunked as AI. Yeah, he's dead, Lamau.
תודה, תודה לכם. תודה לכם. טוב, קצת לספוג שמש. שלום לכם. של מי הכלב? שלך. איזה סוג זה?
נענית, ישראלית.
נענית ישראלית, כל הכבוד. טוב, גם לה מגיע קצת.
ישראלית אמיתית.
יאללה, לכולכם מגיע.
Bro, do they got the best AI? Because, like, how is this AI? Like, people are saying this is AI. I saw that he has a disappearing ring. Like, look, he has a ring in his finger. Look, watch this.
יצאתם להתעורר קצת?
Ring is gone. But I think it's just artifacting. Like, I think old footage from COVID, they got masks on. No, dude. No, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu's guard, his like closest security always wears a mask. Have you guys never seen like Mossad agents always wear a mask? People in the IDF also that do war crimes always wear a mask. It's not from COVID. The mask thing is normal. But yeah, people were saying like he has a ring on this finger right here. Look, he has a ring on the finger.
גם לה מגיע קצת. יאללה, לכולכם מגיע. יצאתם להתעורר קצת?
And then it's gone. But I don't know if it's like actually gone or if the video just like due to artifacting or something, or maybe like due to a filter. It could be a reason why people wear masks regularly. Yeah, the IDF is not wearing masks for COVID related reasons. Oh my God, why are the COVID conscious like this? It's so weird to me that every time the mask conversation comes up, someone who's COVID conscious has to immediately be like, no, actually, people do still wear masks. Yes, they do. But this is not the reason why you think they're wearing masks, okay? They're wearing masks because they want to hide their identities. It's not because they have long COVID. Shut the fuck up. I know COVID still exists. Oh my God. I understand that. There's a difference here. ICE agents, for example, don't wear masks because of COVID. ICE agents wear masks because they want to hide their identity. We all should wear masks for both reasons. Why? Because one, long COVID, and two, because we're IDF murderers and don't want to be charged in the future for war crimes. What do you mean we all should wear masks for both reasons?
קצת? יפה מאוד. תראה, על ירושלים יש משהו יותר יפה מזה? אין על ירושלים, אין, נהדר.
Yeah, see, his ring is back. Yeah, I think it's just like a weird artifacting in the video.
משהו יותר יפה מזה? אין על ירושלים, נהדר. הוא השתגע מזה. תשמע, אני זוכר את זה. אתה זוכר?
I think it's made people go crazy mode. The skin texture and camera depth of field is hella weird. Maybe not AI, it was a weird ass video. Dude, it's like AI can be a completely made up incident, or it could just be like AI causing these kinds of weird things because like they edited it with AI. It's just not, this doesn't meet as AI.
הוא היה, זה היה במטוס, תמסרו לו דש. איזה יופי. שלום. שלום לכם. גם אתם יצאתם קצת להתעורר?
It's most likely either a filter or artifacting. I don't think this video is proof that he's dead. What's even crazier that this was never a question 2 years ago. Yeah, I mean, technology has improved dramatically and it's breaking people's brains, I think. And it's not even I think, I know it is. What is this dog? He might be dead. Is really trying to Ayatollah AI post to fight back?
מה שאלת אותי? ראש הממשלה אומר ברשת שאתה בכלל מת? אני מת על קפה, אתה יודע מה? אני מת על העם שלי. איך הם מתנהגים, פנטסטי. אתה רוצה לספור את מספר אצבעות? אתה יכול להראות לנו?
It's not proof that he's dead, but it's definitely AI. Why would he be in the countryside right now? I don't know. I think him not attending the one like war council meeting, that was weird. His son not tweeting, even though he's a prolific tweeter, that's weird. But all this other shit is just like frying people's brains and they think everything is AI. This all feels like some blue sky hysteria that breached containment. Yeah. Zoomers don't know, but before allegations of AI, we had this. Does Hillary have a body double? Bizarre conspiracy theory claims to be pneumonia-stricken candidate has been replaced by a lookalike. We all know that you are a propaganda agent for the motherland Israel. Yeah. I mean, he could not be attending the fucking meetings because he's literally in another country. I don't know. Monitor in a cafe video shows 2024 as of date. No, it didn't. No, it actually showed 2016. I mean, not 2016, 2026. You're wrong on that too. This is not correct. Bro, what are you talking about? Like, that he filmed this in 2024, like, oh, people are saying I'm dead. In 2024, like some of you guys literally make up more insane claims in order to feed into this conspiracy. Like this is when you have to realize that you're in too deep. I think it's a good thing that people are this suspicious of AI. No, it's not a good thing because sometimes, like in
Oh
this
shit,
case,
it's St.
you will
Patty's
literally
Day.
be led astray by assumptions that like something that is, actually real video, something that's a real video.
This guy gets on my nerves, bro. Anyway, let's watch this.
U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about the U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about, if that continued, what.
This guy doesn't give a fuck.
What we would have to do about that, but that's the U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about, if that continued, what we would have to do about that. But that's like really the last of our concerns right now because we're very confident that this thing is going ahead of schedule. The U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about, if that continued, what we would have to do about that. But that's like really the last of our concerns right now because we're very confident that this thing is going ahead of schedule. The U.S. economy
That didn't sound like.
Is fundamentally sound, and that if it were
Sometimes
to
these
be
people be
extended,
doing too much, bro.
it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt.
Okay, he said that it wouldn't disrupt the U.S. economy at all.
Hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about.
But it would hurt consumers.
If that continued, what we would have to do about that.
If that continued, what should we do about it?
But that's like really the last of our concerns right now because.
But that's the last of his concerns, not the hurting of consumers, but the fact that it could happen is the fact that it could happen is the least of his concerns. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to fuck this guy. Oh, is this guy power to the people? He's this guy's kind of crazy though. This accidental confession by Trump's economic advisor speaks to a bigger issue, which is that the U.S. economy exists to serve the rich. Should I write a post? Be like, I don't think he meant what you think he meant. I'm not defending this guy. I think you're just full of shit, brother.
That could
We're at 24.
cast away doubt is considered AI because it doesn't correspond to your bias.
Social media has been ablaze this weekend with viral conspiracy theories that Israeli.
It's because Hassan, he be getting angry, bro, and I just rightfully so, I guess, but he's just kind of like, I don't need that bad energy, you know what I'm saying? What else do we got? Damn, I got pissed. There's no way Christians brought us gender equality. What? Will he make it? What? 3 weeks to break the system. Mr. Global. Strait of Hormuz closure. El Jefe. I love watching Mr. Global. He's goated. I think that's it. Just news. Oh, gotta pee. Oops. What can we watch, ladies and gents? Ooh, I like Breaking Point. Playing the wrong game. Top Iranian official assassinated by Israel as 200 U.S. troops wounded. She's kind of a cutie too, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Iran's security chief. Top news. See what you got. Trump threatens NATO allies over Strait of. What did he say?
President Trump is demanding that about 7 other countries help the U.S. reopen the Strait of Hormuz. It's been effectively closed by Iran since the war started. Little oil is being shipped through the narrow strait, and that's triggering an oil shock worldwide. Trump insisted that U.S. allies help reopen the strait.
Whether we get support or not, but I can say this, and I said it to them, we will remember.
But officials from the governments of Australia, Japan,
Oh, he's such a fucking petty bitch, bro. He said, I'll remember, bro. I'll remember. This is your fault. You told them to go fuck themselves, and now they don't want to help you. You're like, I'm gonna remember that. They remembered. They fucking remember. That's why they're fucking ignoring your stupid ass.
Japan and Germany say they aren't sending any ships. Officials with the European Union are meeting today, but it's not clear any European ships will help safeguard the region. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News. For more of today's news, be sure to like and follow us or check out NPR News Now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, shit, bro. That was too funny. He said, I'm gonna remember that. I'll remember that this war is just Iraq, but stupider. Stupider. Colombia y Venezuela cancelan reunión binacional por razones de seguridad. Why? Man, fuck these guys. I wonder if this guy's ever went back on his bullshitness. Trump just got destroyed. David Pac-Man. I think we're gonna call it, boys. We're an hour in. We're an hour in. What's on see if there's anything else I might want to show. Iran launches fresh attacks on the United States. President Emmanuel Macron said France would never take part in operations to unblock the Strait of Hormuz, pushing back on comments by President Donald Trump that Paris was willing to help. The U.S. encouraged Syria to consider sending forces to eastern Lebanon to help disarm Hezbollah. Really? Lindsay says he's not sure the U.S. should stay in NATO since they don't want to support. Yes, get the fuck out of NATO. Dismantle NATO. It's completely fucking useless. You kidding me? Desde hace unos días ha disminuido la llegada de Huachinango, Sierra, Róbalo y Pampano. What? Tucked inside 2026 Farm Bill is provisions to reimburse farmers for 90% of the cost of adopting AI technologies. I'm interested in precision. I'm interested in precision AG. I'm less interested in the technology industry governing the standards. Don't know what that means. Oh, this is what he was talking about? Just spoke to the president about our European allies' unwillingness to provide assets to keep the Strait of Hormuz functioning, which benefits Europe far more than America. I have never heard him so angry in my life. I share that anger given what's at stake. Did you say steak? The arrogance of which our allies to suggest that Iran with nuclear weapons is of little concern and that military. Yes, bro, I consider myself a very forwardly. Man, shut your bitch ass up. You loser. Doctors, at least 3,000 people who rely on dialysis will die. Is that murder? Some Trump does not believe he no longer controls how when the war in Iran ends. We clearly just kicked Iran's ass in the field, but to a large they hold the cards now, said one person close to the White House. Here's my analysis as a normal everyday guy. Just someone who reads a lot of shit. We're bombing the shit out of Iran. It sucks. We're destroying Tehran. It sucks. It sucks. It's bullshit. They didn't ask for this. This motherfucker decided to just attack because he has a little dick. Iran holds a lot of power. He thought he could bully Iran. That's not happening. The reason why no president ever wanted to attack Iran was because of this reason, because Iran holds a lot of power with the oil market, right? And what I keep hearing is that shit is never going to go back to normal, at least in this presidency. Oil is going to be super expensive. We're probably going to go into higher inflation. I don't know. It's not looking good for us. We may be beating the shit out of them, but it's like a slow poison. You know what I mean? It's like one of those poisonous frogs. You squish it with your hand, you kill it, but the poison is in your skin. And it's slowly going to kill you. Again, I'm just an everyday bro who reads shit like this. I don't know. I think anybody who reads or is keeping up, I think anybody who reads or is keeping up with this, I think would agree a little bit of what I'm trying to say at least. At the end of the day, it's not looking good.